Hello, hello, fellow listeners. I congratulate you on the occasion of Pride, a month where we celebrate people from diverse communities and genders, people with different cultural backgrounds, and people who have many, many stories to tell. I am Gayatri, the host and employer branding head with LambdaTest. Today we have with us Navya, who is an avid reader, an animal lover, a music buff as well, and happens to work with our enterprise marketing team. So welcome, Navya.
Thanks, Gayatri.
And we also have with us Komal, who is an artist and enjoys the different forms of dance. Also leads the front end engineering team. So hi, Komal.
Hello, Gayatri. Hello, Navya.
So I hope you guys know what we're here for today.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. All right. So we're in Pride Month, we're celebrating diversity. We're talking about a lot of different meanings to diversity, inclusion. It's not only, it's multifaceted, right? So you both are leaders in your own space. You have a long, list of, you know, happenings behind you. Your career has been long. So what is your idea of definition, your personal idea that you've kind of derived over the years and your experience?
Having worked in multiple organizations, right? I've worked in a complete remote setting as well, and hybrid setting, and in like complete office setting as well. I've worked with teams from based off different geographies all over the world to something like LambdaTest, which is entirely hybrid. Like we have teams across all over the India. Having a different set of cultures, mindset in an organization is important. I think it helps, gain a different perspective within an organization as well, understand each other better as a human. And it's not just about the geographies, right? It's about different orientation. It's about different genders. So it is important to make sure everyone is comfortable in their own skin. So having that inclusion within an organization to make sure that people are comfortable in their own skin, I think that defines basically inclusion and diversity form.
Right. So, as Navya mentioned, so diversity is all about actually embracing individuals, right? So, at the basic level, everyone is a human. Gender, religion, caste, age, sexual orientation, everything is not a mandatory thing, right? It's a secondary thing that is there. So, diversity is about embracing individuals. But then, even if you have a diverse workforce, right, it does not actually lead to anything until and unless you make every individual feel included, right? So diversity, in my opinion, is the first step, and inclusion comes right after it. You have to make sure that everyone feels that okay, they have the equal opportunities for them. They are able to speak up, like they don't actually have to worry about like is it the right audience where I can
Right. They
use
feel
this forum?
comfortable. Yeah.
Yes, so they have that open forum where they can actually do. So according to me, that is mostly what diversity and inclusion means at the base level. And once you have a diverse and inclusive workforce, you have a majority of ideas, a lot of different perspectives that are brought on the table, right? So that eventually leads to innovation. So yeah, that is my whole idea about diversity and inclusion.
And also being exposed to different set of cultures as well, right? So there are a lot of things happening in different parts of the world which you may not be privy to. So having that diversity at least gets you like a sneak peek on different culture or their functions. I think that is something I really enjoyed, especially working in a diverse, setup. Right, you get to learn a lot. You get to meet different people from different background. I think it tends to make you more open-minded about different ideas and different personalities. I think you tend to get more inclusive and you tend to get more innovative and open-minded after that.
Right, right. Because like every individual has a set perspective, right? Based on from where they have come, from their upbringing and everything. But then when you bring a lot of people with different perspectives to the table, right? It leads to different ideas, which organizations actually love to have, right? So, like in an essence, I would say everyone has their own blinders, right? They just see things just
Right,
in a single way. So
right.
having so many people is very important. So yeah, that's why like diversity in today's day and age is extremely important.
Correct, especially in an organization like ours where we I think one of our values are innovation and entrepreneurial mindset. We
Exactly.
want people who can tell many different stories and then bring it to the table, right? It's so
And be comfortable about telling
correct.
those stories, right? Having that forum, having that confidence to be who you are. I think that is one of the important things as well. When we talk about inclusion, when we talk about diversity, having that influence on people to have that open mind. I think that is really important as well.
You are leading teams of techies, of writers, young entrepreneurs, and that's also evolving. You guys are growing in leadership year on year. So, what are the key facets you face in terms of keeping everybody on their toes equally? Is where nobody feels a bias, nobody feels pushed down. People feel heard and comfortable.
Right, as I said, having an open mind is really important. You need to be uh, unbiased. You need to learn to listen to people. Like, of course, everyone has their own opinions, but you need to be open to listen to others' opinions as well. You cannot just impose your opinions on others. So, I think listening and trying to understand the different perspective, right? I think is important, especially if you're working in a diverse team, like because everyone has a different idea, different opinion, and different perspectives, which you might not be, okay, which you might not agree with, but it is an opinion, and everyone is entitled to have an opinion. But you should be open-minded to accept that. And yeah, I think listening more, understanding the perspective where they're coming from, I think that is important as well, especially if you're working in a diverse setting.
Right, right. So, firstly, I feel like we should, as leaders, we should educate ourselves to actually understand what this is, and how this can help the team. And then, once we have that understanding, we should try and inculcate that into our team members as well to make them understand like how important it is. Like you value your peer, right? You cannot just pass in any comment that could be racist or anything, right? So, educating is the first and the
Right.
foremost step that I feel that we
Yeah,
should take. And then we should build that culture, right, wherein everyone feels very comfortable in talking. Saying like we should not have a biased environment, right? So if you have a team of let's say 10 to 20 people, out of which 2 3 are freshers, 2 3 are very senior resources. So the freshers should also feel that comfort, right, that I can actually freely talk. And
Right.
that's what I feel at Lambda Test we are doing, right? We have that forum. No one, I see everyone very like open here, in the sense that they don't have to worry about okay, whom am I speaking to, or should I
mm,
do this or not do that. And that culture is very important, right? So these little steps I feel help like to actually let the team members also grow and understand what we are trying to actually achieve as a whole organization and not just as an individual.
correct, correct. So, Komal, I have a question for you. Because in India, I've seen this, and over my years of experience, also women in tech are not there on the forefront as much, and the diversity in a company is always it tips in the male favor, right? So,
Correct.
like, how do you what message would you want to give women out there to maybe break out of their comfort zones, or just come out and pursue this line of career, and like what?
As you mentioned, Gayatri, this has been like a male-dominated industry for a very long time. And personally, if I give you my example,
Yeah.
I've seen that in my career as well. Like I have been the only girl in the entire room, like from the
Okay.
engineering team, right? But
Right.
then I see with the more openness and the culture that companies are actually introducing these days, and people are trying to understand and opening up to
Mm.
that, right? So you see that, okay, women are also trying to go ahead in this career. They are trying to break those barriers. And I personally feel like having, like, again, women and men, and again, other people have that advantage wherein you have diverse ideas, right?
Mhm.
So a message to other, like, junior female members who are actually, don't have to hesitate, you don't have to worry. It's a equal platform. People these days are very encouraging. They would love to have you on board,
Yeah.
right? So you don't have to worry that how will I cope up with the male dominant society, and be the change is what I would say.
Have you personally seen the change though? Komal? Like I know
Yes,
right now
yes,
there are a lot of initiatives like women in tech, she roles, everything happening, right?
correct.
So over the course of your career, have you seen that
Yes.
shift from
Definitely, definitely. So, like being just passed out of the college and people saying, "Okay, I don't want to go into tech industry." And again, as I said, like being
right?
the only female engineer from in the team, then seeing companies like promoting, like, okay, the importance of this. I have actually seen that tremendous growth. We are not 100% there, but the growth has been exponential, according to me.
Yeah. And in Lambda test, like, how do you feel your team supports you? Kind of achieving what you aim for, or how are you setting new examples?
So, as I mentioned, right, so it's all about inclusivity, right? So, I feel that at Lambda Test, you are very free to say what you have on your mind. And people are very considerate, and they listen to your ideas,
Mm.
your opinions, right? And those opinions matter. It's not that, okay, you have said that and we'll not include it. That's not the culture that we are building at Lambda Test. And that is something that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
So that has actually given me the forum wherein I can speak my mind, I can present the ideas, and I can actually see how things can be done, right? And then this is what I'm trying to inculcate in my team as well.
Mm.
I try to create an environment where everyone feels included,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like that there is one thing that I will just give to someone because of their seniority or their juniority, right? I listen to their opinions and I try to, like, understand what their perspectives are, right? It could be right, it could be wrong. Again, right? That is a different thing altogether. But
Yeah.
listening, as Navya was also saying, listening is a very important thing.
Important.
Creating that environment where everyone is free to say is what I'm trying to also build within my team.
But let me ask you one thing. So, do you consciously put an effort to make sure, uh, let's say, we are represented, like women, especially in tech, is represented equally? Do you take conscious steps or efforts to make sure that you have enough women in the team, or is it based? It is completely based out on meritocracy, right? So no matter what the gender is, what the orientation is, it's basically about how you perform and
Yeah. Your skill sets and all.
yeah, your skill set, right? So how do you balance that?
So according to me, see, it's all about skill set, right? It's all about innovation and what you're bringing to the table, right? At the end of the day, everyone wants to grow in an organization, right? Yes, there have been times wherein you have to put in that constant effort to ensure that, okay, if you feel that someone on your team is not at par
Right.
in this society, like dominant industry, I would say you put in some extra effort there to actually train them or bring them up to speed. But
Right.
then at the end of the day, it's all about having that
Hmm.
idea over the table, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So you spoke about education, and I very recently gave a gender neutrality or gender sensitization awareness workshop
Mhm.
Right.
in office. And when at the end of the session, when asked what is your greatest strength, everybody said their gender. I said, then I asked, what is your greatest weakness? 90% said gender. So I was like, okay. that is something to think about, right?
Right.
Gender comes back again and again, and diversity is obviously so much more, but this is like kind of at the forefront.
Correct. So I still, I mean, I think we're getting there. I mean, we are trying to, make sure gender is complete, is not a basic issue.
Yeah.
But I think it's still there. There needs to be a conscious effort to make sure there is no gender bias. But I think we're getting there. It is much better than what it used to be.
What it used to be.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
evolving. Yeah, it's still evolving. But yeah, from where we started,
People are at least open to be educated. People are at least trying to understand the orientations much better. I mean, people are open to the ideas being gender fluid now rather than before. So I think we are improving, but yeah, it is a long road ahead.
You spoke about people are now open and there is a change. So what's the kind of shift in diversity and inclusion that you've seen over the many years, like from day one when you started till now? What is the shift that you've noticed?
So I was in tech as well. I started as a developer, right, and then I shifted to marketing. So I did see that gender gap initially when I started working. So there were not many female engineers. There still isn't as many female engineers as we would like. But yes, but I have definitely seen the shift there, especially in tech. Women are getting into tech. Women are going to executive levels. They are in managerial positions. They are taking decisions. They are making decisions. They're running companies. So that is happening, and it is much better than what it is before, especially in tech, I feel. People are open to it now. People don't mind having a woman boss. People don't mind answering to a woman boss. It is not a big deal anymore, and I think that is a good change, especially right. Yeah.
right. So I'll give you a real life example that actually happened with me. So in one of my previous orgs, like we used to have a lot of hackathons.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like you could choose your team or it will be auto assigned. So there was one hackathon where we had to just build an app, and
Right.
I was in a team of varied people, like again, like junior people, senior people, male, female, etc., etc. And everyone's first idea was that let's just build an app, right? Similar to what you have, like a basic app, and just be done with this. What do you call hackathon? But then there was one young female in our team who used to travel roughly 40 kilometers every day to reach to the office. And at that point of time, air quality was a big problem, right? So she proposed that why don't we go ahead and create an app wherein it Google Maps shows you a route which is safer and better according to air quality.
Right.
So initially everyone was surprised. Then we ended up actually building that app, right? So this is the power of having that diversity and inclusivity, right? That person who did not have that much of tech experience, but the basic problem that she was facing because of air quality, and we ended up being a runner-up in that hackathon, right? So there was another incident wherein someone suggested a security system. Let's build a security system, right? Because had been a robbery in the society. So that is the power of actually understanding and listening to what people are saying, right? So very, like, if you talk about 10 years before, like, people would not have listened to you. They would have said, okay, we'll do what we have been conventionally doing, right?
Yeah.
But over the years, people have been empathetic and they are embracing these. There have been a few studies which are also indicating that with more females or more people being introduced to the team has actually brought in more innovation. So again, as Navya said, we are not there, but we are definitely taking that step.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll be there
Yeah.
someday, right? So
As I said, I've seen the shift. I've seen the change. It is much better than what it was a decade ago, and I'm pretty hopeful it will be much better than what it is a decade after from now. So yeah, I think that is a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, because people are also starting young in the sense of from their teenage years or even before that.
Definitely.
Um, it's just getting ingrained in their head,
So
and yeah, so
yeah, it's the platform, right? So you have so many things like social awareness, like companies are creating policies to actually ensure like people are educated, and then social media is playing a very important role. So that has actually brought the change,
mm,
right? So which is a very good thing.
that's true. That's true. So I have a tough question for you guys. So how would you react if you heard a coworker say something racist or albiest or homophobic,
Mm.
inappropriate completely, like right now in your teens?
So I think it's important to call it out, especially in a professional setting, because the intention might not have been to hurt a person. It might not have been intentional, but they might be ignorant about it, right? If they made a comment, a homophobic comment or a racist comment, and they're ignorant about it. So it's important to call it out for them to understand as well what exactly what was wrong, why was it wrong. It is a part of education as well, so you need to, as Komal pointed out earlier, it's important to educate people about it. So it's important to call it out when there is a homophobic or a racist comment, even though it might not be intentional, but it's important to call it out, so that they won't do it again.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like again, like we should first understand like what from where that person is coming from, and just have a very candid conversation with that person, wherein that person is actually open about what he said, and then you are also like telling what was wrong, right? What are the things that you could have done, and what you can do now that this does not repeat, right? So again, educating yourself and then listening to from where that person is coming from.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think people are more sensitive nowadays anyway. So people are offended about everything. If you go on social media, everyone is offended about something or the other.
Constantly offended.
It is very important right now to be politically correct. Uh, so you don't know whatever you say, what might offend someone. But yeah, having said that, it is important to understand that the other person might be hurt, and it's okay to make mistakes, but it's also important to learn from your mistakes as well. And that's exactly why I say it's important to call out if someone is being racist or homophobic, because it might just be a joke to them, but for the person who's listening, it might be personal, they might be hurt, and it's important for the other person to understand that, hey, this was not okay. So I think it's important to call it out and educate, especially in a professional setting.
Um, so like before we kind of wrap up, I think I have just two questions more. Just to pick your brain, what do you see as a challenge at present at LambdaTest, and what are the first steps you think we should be taking? We've started, our journey has begun, but where do you think we should head first?
As
What are the challenges?
challenges, like I personally have seen a lot of growth in LambdaTest, uh, being inclusive, at least diversity and in inclusion, right? So I have, even personally, I have friends who are gender fluid, who are from different culture, uh, uh, and I'm making the workspace safe for them, letting them be who they are. I think it's one of the important things, and LambdaTest is already doing that. I guess so. That is a good thing. But having said that, I think there is still scope for improvement. Because I personally feel we have less women in tech, especially in engineering, right? In our company, I would like to see more engineers. in lab, women engineers in LambdaTest as well. Not just in engineering, I think even in other departments.
Everywhere.
I think we're not that bad in other departments. We still have the gender ratio is not that bad. But I think we can afford to have more women engineers in LambdaTest.
Okay, that is a fair point.
Right. So again, I have seen a lot of changes that we at Lambda Test are doing, right? So you have organized events, you have created quiz to actually educate people, right? Because today's day and age, I still see that there is lack of education, like, and these are some awareness programs that already we are doing at Lambda Test, right? Which actually imbibe that knowledge that is required to have that open mindedness, right? That okay, it's not bad to have someone on the team, or it's not good to have someone on the team. So that is the right direction that we have already picked, right? And like events like these are what we should continue to do. So like it's not that we should just do it in a month or a single time of the year, but we should continue to work on this so that like everyone knows and everyone is aware like what we are trying to achieve
Right.
as a whole organization.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, true. And for me, I would say that I just want to build a space where people are comfortable and coming out.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so
Yes.
difficult in an organization to build that.
Yeah, it's definitely important to make sure your workspace is a safe space.
Safe, yeah, for
I
people
think,
to
yeah,
lead. And that's why we've also initiated the diversity, equity, inclusion committee.
right.
We can just build that trust factor key.
Hmm.
We are there.
Yes.
You
We're
can
there
be
to
yourself,
protect.
you can be yourself in your office. I
Yeah,
think,
we're there to
Right.
protect you, and you will be treated as humans first, then
right,
anything else.
right.
Right.
I
So
think
yeah,
it's great. Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, great. Do you guys have any parting thoughts? Because I think this was a great session.
So I think LambdaTest is doing great in terms of diversity and inclusion as of now. Like whatever I have experienced so far, right? We are doing great. We are inclusive. We do listen. We are transparent enough. We are open about our culture. I think that is one of the great things about LambdaTest as well. Where I feel comfortable personally working. Like even as a woman, I don't have any inhibitions here. If it is something work wise, I don't have any qualms. If I have any issues and to point out those issues, talk to people. I can directly go and talk to anyone here in LambdaTest. So having that transparent and open culture, I think LambdaTest is doing a great job at that as of now. I think we should continue doing that.
Like I completely second Navya on that, whatever she said. Like this is like one organization where I see that okay, the teams are so much involved in like not just the company but everyone in the company is growing, right? It's not about the org growth but a person's individual growth as well. And the culture that we have here, like we have that mindset that okay, you are open to say,
Yeah.
right? Everyone is fair and people are there to listen to. It's not that you are just open and no one will listen to you.
Right.
So, that is one like really great thing that people don't have to think twice before they have to share their thoughts, right? So yeah, I completely second Navya on that. And kudos to the HR team for building that culture here.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Great. I will pass
I
on the.
think you did a great job.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. I think this is an amazing, informative session. And I'd love picking your brains for this. And I think I'm excited to launch more DEI activities. So yeah, let's do that. Cool.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for being here, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much for having us.
you.
Thank you.
So I'm just